Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Burnt Pancakes podcast. I am your host, Katie Fensky, and it's time for another conversation. Today's topic is baby registries. I haven't done one since 2013, so I'm very curious. What are the cool gadgets now? I'm sitting down with Gigi Vera Vincent. She's a postpartum doula and specializes in a minimalist baby registry. She's going to sit down and tell us what we should have on the baby registry and what's actually not needed. I'm super curious to see what all the new cool gadgets are. So stay tuned for our next conversation.
Welcome, Gigi, to the podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Katie.
Oh, this is so wonderful because it's been a very long time since I put together a baby registry. So I think this is going to be very helpful and insightful to me. I'm curious to see what all the new gadgets are that the kids have. Okay, so start off by telling me, how did you get into the postpartum doula world? Was that something you've always been interested in? How did you get into it?
Yeah, so I had originally focused on birth, and my sister-in-law was actually a birth doula when I was really young. I was maybe like 17, 18, the first time that I kind of heard about this.
Mhm.
And so I kind of dabbled, and then I really switched my focus to postpartum after I had twins during COVID. And I
Oh
think
gosh,
I
during
had,
COVID.
yeah, the start their March right in the middle of the shutdown. They were in the
Oh my,
NICU.
like the
So the
wow.
very start, yes. So I think with my first, I was really blessed with the village that everyone kind of talks about.
Mhm.
I had a really long maternity leave. I got to just really hang with my little guy. And it was so nice. I had a great adjustment. Obviously, things were not perfect. He was a baby, but I really had a nice transition into parenthood with my first. And then with twins and COVID, I was a little bit taken aback. I
It's like
think
a double
earlier,
whammy right there. Twins and COVID.
yes, I definitely was more before that. I was like, it's birth. Birth is important. We need to focus on birth. And I was a little naive and maybe a little smug of like, yeah, postpartum. You just get your family to help you, easy. Not
Right.
really taking into account that most people don't have that village. They don't feel comfortable with their village. They don't know how to even find it. And that when you don't have access to or you don't even know about support services. I struggled to nurse at first with my first, and it was really easy for me to find a local support group.
Mhm.
Second time around, not so much.
No
We didn't
in-person
even,
anything.
there was no Zoom yet. So
Yes. Oh
trying
my
to find
gosh.
something like a lactation consultant, trying to make doctor's appointments. When I had two little ones
Mhm.
plus a
And a
toddler
toddler.
and a
Yeah.
toddler when it was so impossible. They wouldn't even let an extra person come.
Oh my
So trying to handle all of those things, I realized, okay, yeah, we're really not prepared enough for that postpartum period, that fourth trimester and beyond.
god. Mhm.
And so I focus on my work as a postpartum doula. A lot of my work is holistic kind of postpartum support in terms of like healing, really trying to create the best circumstances. So once you have a baby, you can relax. You
That's what
can,
we need.
that's what
We've
we
gone
should be
through
doing.
so much. Like I remember someone saying once, why can't we treat new moms the way we treat them when they're pregnant? You open the door for her. Oh, what can you get? Oh, what do you need? But then you have this baby and you're like, well, now is when I need the help the most. Right.
Totally. We
Right.
need we need the support. We need to allow ourselves to stay in bed.
Mhm.
A little bit of that is where we don't have it. If we don't have anyone to come help us do our dishes, they need to get done. We have to
Yeah.
wash the baby clothes. We have to wash the baby bottles. A little bit of it is we don't ask people.
Oh, I 100% did not ask. I
Yeah, we feel like we got to
I
do
do
it
it all
all.
myself. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Mhm.
part of it is the system doesn't really give us the opportunity. And part of it is we don't know how to ask for it. Or if we can ask for it, we don't,
Mhm. Yep.
you know? So that's a big part of my job is working with people right after they have a baby, helping them. We don't always know how to navigate visitors. We don't always know how to navigate getting support. And I think the biggest benefit of hiring a doula, whether it's birth or postpartum, is their resources. If you need something, they know somebody and
Oh,
they'll connect you.
oh, interesting. So like you might notice one person is needing a specific thing and you're like, I got a girl. I can help you.
Exactly. You need lymphatic drainage. I know someone. You have a C-section incision that isn't healing great. I know someone who's an expert at that. You're looking for
Wow.
postpartum meal prep for traditional Chinese medicine approach. I know someone. Oh, you want Ayurveda? I know
Whoa.
someone.
You got a nice little Rolodex there going on.
Exactly. Yes. You have to be, I think, as a doula, really locked into where people can go. I know low cost, I know free lactation support, I know mommy and me classes. So you have to kind of help people so that your clients aren't up until 2 a.m. searching for these things.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. Okay. So you're in Orange County,
Yeah.
California. Do you also do like virtual
I
support?
do virtual. Yeah, I do virtual for a few of my services. So childbirth education is virtual.
Okay.
And my approach to childbirth education, some of my clients want a very specific kind of birth prep. It might be
Okay.
like they want Bradley. I'll send them to someone who does that. Mine really focuses on getting your birth preferences, knowing your options, and knowing how to advocate for yourself. And feeling just if you can't access a birth doula, that you have the means to fight for the things that you want or just make decisions in the moment. Because
Mhm.
I don't want anybody going to like a hospital or a birthing center and not really knowing, do I want my child to have, maybe like vitamin K? I can talk to them, what is vitamin K, and help them make a decision on that.
Right.
Or do you want a bath immediately after your baby is born? Yes or no? Here are the reasons for and against this,
Mhm.
and make that decision.
Yeah, no one talks about like a lot of that stuff. Like you're gonna have to make choices in the hospital. And half the time you're
Exactly.
so out of it, like I just gave birth. Like, I don't know. I do remember getting the Tdap, I think,
Yeah.
after it was like hours after my C-section and not even really realizing. I look back now and I'm like, yeah, I do remember getting a shot, but I don't remember saying, oh yeah, this is I don't remember much about
Exactly.
it.
And
Mhm.
I don't want birth or the early days of postpartum to feel kind of like it happened to you.
Yes, or you're out of like you've lost control. I just had someone on who talked about a traumatic birth and she said that. She's like, I feel like I was not in control of the situation and that's what felt traumatic.
Exactly.
Mm.
And everybody can choose in their mind, have their perfect birth.
Oh, yeah.
I'm there to be like, okay, here's plan A. What do we do if plan A doesn't
Mhm.
work? What's plan B? What's plan C? And so on and so forth.
Yes.
So
It
you
never goes
feel
by plan A. It never goes that way.
exactly, exactly. And then also you need to decompress from that. Sharing your birth story with somebody who's really just going to listen.
Oh,
It
that's
might not be like big T trauma, but
mhm.
maybe something like you weren't comfortable in the birth position. Something like, you felt like you didn't get enough skin to skin early. That's not
Yes.
huge, but it still is something that you're going to think about.
Oh,
We
yeah.
need to
And
process those
share that.
things.
I still to this day will say, well, my husband and I always now we joke about it now, but we had a nurse with our first birth that was so rude. And like he was like, I just felt like she was yelling at me every time she came in. And so now we can joke about it, but at the time it was like that was harsh. Like she was just doing her job, like, hey
Yeah.
dad, why didn't you wrap him like this? And we are like, oh my gosh, we don't know what we're doing.
I'm sorry. That's not a good experience. And like what I think a birth doula is so good at is saying, or even just like anybody telling you, do you know you can tell somebody you don't want a nurse there? Like you can request a nurse that you don't vibe with. I
Yes.
had to do that with my twins in the NICU. There were some nurses that I just felt like they were so rude to me. I was processing so much.
Mhm.
Again, I didn't know what I was doing. I had never had 2, 3 pound babies in my life
Right.
before. This was a first for me. And they would make comments like that, like, oh, you're not doing this right. You're not doing this right. And I had to say, I don't really know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
This is my job to be good with babies, and it doesn't feel good to not be great at it.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
like,
Yes.
please talk to me a little nicer.
Yes.
But so many people don't feel like they can say that.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I
at
know
the
I can say
very
that.
end of that experience, we had a nurse and we were kind of like telling her like, oh, this other lady, when she was, and she's like, you can 100% ask for a new nurse. And we're like, we can, like, we just
Yeah,
thought we were stuck with what we got. Like, yeah, did so birth 2 and birth 3, we went in knowing that, but we had a great experience with the nurses there. So
that's good. I'm glad. And
yeah,
so
but
that's one of the
we knew we
services.
could say something.
Yes, you have to learn. So one of my services is online childbirth ed. I also do prenatal prep. So I talk about how do we prepare for our bodies for postpartum and how do we take care of a baby postpartum,
Mhm.
which we aren't always prepared.
No.
We
Well, as
friends
women,
and
we think,
family,
"Oh, it's gonna come naturally. It's a given." And I'm like,
totally.
I held this little baby and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what do I do with him? How do I bathe him? How do
Yeah.
I change him?" Yeah.
So a lot of that is explaining, what do we do and knowing how newborn behavior is. I think social media tries to make newborns seem like they're very easily trained. And the reality is they're not very easily trained in the early days. They're just
Mhm.
newborns, and we have to do whatever we have to do to keep them alive. And it's not always like I get them home and I'm going to put them on a schedule week one.
Oh, I tried that and
Yeah,
failed miserably. And then it made me feel like a failure because I couldn't do it right when I was like, "He's been in this world a week and I can't expect that."
exactly. That you feel like a failure for not being able to take care of your baby the way that the internet says you should.
Yes.
So that's a big part of my job is just really realistic expectations. And then the last service that I have online is a baby registry consulting. And so what I try to do is help people move away because I remind everyone that the industry that makes you buy stuff, your baby's things or your postpartum things, it's an industry that makes billions of dollars every year. And
Yeah.
so they're banking on your
Pushing those things.
anxiety. Exactly.
Wow. That's why
They
I
want you to feel
do
anxious.
I do potty training consulting. So I work with parents on potty training. And the number one thing I want to tell them, I'm like, pull-ups were designed to keep your kids in their product longer. Like, I totally understand why parents feel like they need to use it, but I'm like, just be aware that they are marketed to keep your child in their product. Like,
Exactly. And for them to market that as like, oh, it's a
it's training.
transition,
It's
it's
not.
training.
It's not.
And we do that with sleep. We do that
Mm.
with, car seats. We do it. They're really banking on you and your anxiety, middle of the night, Amazon shopping, buying
Yeah.
things.
I've
And
done that.
so, yeah,
I've
and
100%. He's not the
we
new
all
one. I'm
have.
getting the one with the weighted thing and the yes. Okay.
Exactly.
Ooh, okay, so
The
we're gonna
baby carriers,
oh,
everything.
wow. We have to dive into this. Minimalist baby registry. So, okay, the last time I made a baby registry was in 2013, where we went to the store and we had like the little gun
The
scanner.
scanner.
Is that like not a thing anymore? How do people make registries now?
I think some people will go into, rest in peace, bye bye baby, a store like that,
Yes. I was like,
or a Target.
Babies R Us isn't around anymore, right?
No, no,
Oh,
and
I
baby
feel
and bye bye
ancient.
baby. Yeah. So most
Yeah.
people are doing maybe a baby list, an Amazon or a Target, or maybe some
Okay.
combination of those.
Okay.
And they're 9 times out of 10 going into Pinterest, typing in baby
Yeah.
registry,
Yes.
grabbing everything off of there and immediately moving it onto their registry and
Okay.
getting it.
Okay.
That's kind of what people are doing.
Okay. So what would you say are things that people have on their registry that really aren't needed? You don't need this.
So you said one of the things, swaddles. I love a good swaddle. And I would caution people to not go all in and buy every single swaddle. So, the one example of my client that I recently finished with, they had a baby that was kind of a side sleeper.
Oh,
From day
my
one,
word.
they were coming home and kind of turning over to their side. And parents had bought a million sleep sacks and swaddles, tight swaddles, and then also
Mhm.
like a muslin kind of swaddle.
Yeah.
They had
Yeah.
spent a couple $100 on swaddles. And I said,
Don't want any of them.
this isn't going to work. If
Oh,
we have a baby that keeps turning over to their side, if we want to comfortably go to sleep, knowing that they're going to be safe, we can't really swaddle this baby.
wow. So would you recommend like just one simple or just use the hospital one and see if that works? My husband was great at swaddling with the hospital blankets.
Oh, that's sweet. I think if you have maybe buy one like loose swaddle or have a one pack of them, and then maybe
Mhm.
get one different type, like a Halo sleep sack. But this is where if you are just buying for, let's say, a Halo sleep sack, you buy a small, an extra small, a large. Most of the time, babies are done swaddling, even the
Mine got out
AAP.
of it way too soon. I was so not
Exactly.
I'm like,
And
"Oh, no more
how
swaddles
much
after
time do we spend on like stressing about swaddles for
Oh,
something that really is only going to be the first few months at best?
3 to
Maybe a sleep
4.
sack. Yeah, a sleep sack. Okay, yes, we
Lasts a bit
might, some
longer.
babies love a good sleep sack.
Mhm.
But if you, let's say you buy an extra small swaddle and you have a baby that's 9 pounds, you're not even going to
Not
get to
wearing it.
wear it.
They're not wearing it.
So that's where I try to remind people the stuff that you're putting on your registry is stuff that you are certain you are going to need.
Okay. I noticed too, we use the not with my first, but with my second and third, the Ollie swaddle, the one with like the
Hmm.
Velcro, and that
Yeah.
worked really well. So then every time I saw a mom having a baby, I would say, try this because they're super expensive.
Yeah.
It worked for us, and I'm like, "Don't buy one, use this and see if it works, and then give it back to me when you're done." So
Totally.
I'm like, go to your friends who have kids and say, "Can I borrow that baby carrier for a while? Can I borrow this?" Because those things
Yeah.
are
Try it
pricey.
out.
Mhm.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's where I think we can really kind of unplug from this I need to buy. And
Mhm.
I tell people, the very minimalist in me is like, look on a buy nothing group. So a local buy nothing group where people post things
Mhm.
and ask friends, go to like a Facebook marketplace or a resale store and see if you even like it.
Yes, try we have a, consignment store right down the
Mhm.
street, a baby consignment store.
Oh, nice.
I mean, it is packed to the gills with stuff, so sometimes I have, like, anxiety walking in there because it's like, there's so much stuff in here. But when it
Yeah.
comes to baby stuff, I was like, "I don't wanna spend a fortune," and has most of it is barely used. It's like, I've donated stuff, and I'm like, "I hardly use this, like, it's brand new." Yeah.
Exactly. And I think it's also about locking in that sitting in that feeling of, I'm really anxious when you're about to buy another swaddle.
Oh,
Is the issue the swaddle, or is it that you're feeling like you don't have any time to yourself? Is it
not
that you're
getting any
having
sleep,
exactly, you're
not getting
having
sleep.
unrealistic expectations about your baby's sleep?
Mhm.
Is it you're just stressed and you are touched out? Those are all
Yes.
valid feelings, and most parents are going to feel that way. But let's kind of switch from I'm going to buy my way out of this. And that's really what I try to do with my baby registry consulting is let's switch away from just having things. We need things. We need car seats, we need a stroller, we need things. We need diapers, we need all of these things. But can we have fewer things on our registry and really lean into, especially, upcoming generations, millennials and on, they understand if you have a friend who was recently a parent or they have little ones, they understand that you don't just need things. You need services. So let's add in services.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah,
That's
and
weird.
most registries can do that. There's great registries that only focus on that. Off the top of my head, Be Her Village is a great one. Populist is another one where they try to show your friends and family instead of buying me a top of the line crib, can you
Mhm.
can you pay for my birth doula?
Oh,
Can you
wow.
pay for a lactation class? Can you pay for a really good quality childbirth ed class?
Wow. Because there's more
And explain
options, I
that.
think, now for those. Because when
Totally.
I had my kids, it was like, there's your hospital class. That's the only place I even looked. So now it's like there's more out there.
There's so many more options. It's really accessible to find a good quality. It might not be in person, it might be virtual,
Mhm.
but you can find really good quality support. If you have a relative or, a friend who isn't really into, I don't want to pay for a birth doula or a childbirth ed class, they want something tangible,
Mhm.
have them buy you things. So maybe like a really good quality postpartum healing kit. Ones that are very easily accessible are like a Frida kit. that has a good
Mhm.
peri bottle, some sitz herbs. And you can also have them buy you like a belly bind support, like a session with a belly bind specialist. You can have them pay for an Abianca postnatal body rub if they want it to be something for you.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, because the
where
registry is usually like baby stuff.
baby,
And or
just
they're like,
baby.
"Here's your pump and here's your" but you never really think like, "What's mom gonna need postpartum?"
Exactly. We need to convince sometimes, but a lot of times people will really be on board with that.
Mhm.
Nourish me. Pay for my postpartum meal delivery service. That's going to
Yes.
bring me good quality, nourishing foods.
Right. That was, hands down one of the best things. Like, by my 3rd kid, I was able to say, "Yeah, I will let people bring me dinners." Like, the first 2 I was like, "Oh, we're fine, we're fine." I'm like, "We're not fine, we needed help." By the 3rd, I was
Exactly.
like, "Okay, yes, bring me dinner," and that was heavenly. That was so nice.
And we need it, but we won't ask for it. I
Mhm.
try to push my clients, if possible, to do like a ticket system. If you want to come here, you want to come hold my baby, don't have just visitors in the early days. People that are just coming to take a picture of the baby and leave. That's
Mhm.
really not what you need the first few weeks. Have people come, ask them to bring a meal, and ask them to do something at your
Like,
house.
"Here's my laundry basket. Can you fold it?"
Exactly, and people are saying, "What can I do to help?"
Yes.
Just ask them to do it, and
Okay, so
if they don't
laundry,
wanna do it,
dishes, what
"Bring
else
me
would
a
you think?
coffee, let me shower."
Oh, you know what? That my best friend did that one day. I came to visit her with my baby and she could tell like she had a boy a little older, like a year older. And she was like, "Katie, I'm going to take Ronan for a walk. I want you to lay on my couch and take a nap." And it felt so awkward at first. I was like, "I'm sleeping on someone else's house." It was the best thing. Like,
That's so
you know,
nice,
like you took my baby for a walk. He was fine. I trust you and I got to sleep, which yeah,
and
was
people will
huge.
do that.
Mhm.
People will do it. I did that when my twins were born. We weren't having many people come into the house and, like, hold the twins at that point,
Yeah.
and I would say, "Just take my older one on a walk. Take
Especially with
take him
the
out."
older kids, having someone like, I just need them to be entertained because 'cause you're not ever off when you have older kids. You can't
Mhm.
just sleep when the baby sleeps. It's like sleep when the baby sleeps and then entertain the toddler when the baby's sleeping.
Yeah. So if somebody wants to come over and hold your baby, say, "Okay, I'm gonna go shower." Where most of us feel kind of pressured to just sit and have a conversation,
Mhm.
entertain them,
Mhm.
when people should be coming to take care of you. Ask
Yes.
them to bring food, coffee, something. Ask them to do something while they're there. It
Nice.
can
Or,
be as
"You're
simple
at the
as
grocery
start
store. Can you pick up XYZ?" Yes.
and do a Target or like a grocery pickup. Hey, that's something I do for my clients a lot. If they set it up for me, I can just go and grab their groceries on the way over. Or I can go run into Target and grab whatever they need
Yeah. Yeah.
and come over on
Mhm.
my way in. And so those are things that we really need to like prioritize ourselves
Yeah.
and pull away from the stuff is going to make having a baby easier.
Mhm.
There are things that we absolutely need. We need a crib. We need somewhere. It doesn't even have to be a crib, a bassinet, something where our
Yeah.
baby has to sleep. We need diapers. We need clothes, right? They need to wear something unless you have a summer
Mhm.
baby. They're going to need something. And they need a car seat, maybe a stroller, but the extras are extra.
Yeah. I was just what was the item? I was thinking of something that my boys never used. Oh, with my oldest, we had a hard time with sleep. I think he was a normal newborn, but we just weren't used to not getting sleep. So
Yeah.
one day we went out and we bought that Mamaroo thinking
Hmm.
this is going to save our lives. He barely used it. He Yeah, it was like we put him in it, he wouldn't use it. I'm like,
Totally.
we bought it out of desperation thinking we need to give him something to sleep in. Like he needs to sleep somewhere. And
And how many times do I go to clients' houses and there's a Mamaroo, there's a bassinet, there's
there's that
a
rocker, that
rocker,
other
there's a
thing. Yep.
baby Bjorn rocker, there's a mini bassinet in the living room. There's 8 places to put baby down. Is that going to make baby sleep? From my perspective, a better way to go about it is really education, newborn care education to understand what does a newborn actually do. Newborns need to be held. And that's where there's a little bit of like conflict previous
Yeah.
generations where
Yeah.
we hear you're going to spoil them, you're going to spoil them. And I
Oh,
remind
I
people,
100% felt that way. Like, oh my
yeah,
gosh, I'm holding him too much. He's going to get used to this and then he won't sleep.
he'll
And then
never
I felt
sleep by
guilty.
himself. And then you buy
Mhm.
things to like not feel bad about that.
Yeah.
But or the fourth trimester, we really can't do sleep training. Developmentally, babies are not ready for sleep training the fourth trimester, the first few
Mhm.
months. And they just want to be warm, they want to be held. And so a baby carrier or a lounger, or if we're being like really honest about what people are doing, is safe education about co-sleeping
Mm.
because people are bringing babies into beds and they feel terrible about it.
Yes.
They're like,
Yep.
I put my baby in my bed.
I
Don't tell
know.
anyone. And I'm like, yeah, lots of people do that. That 5 a.m. feed baby, you pass out.
Go to sleep. I
So
with my
exactly.
middle every nap time because my older one would sleep and I would be feeding him and he would fall asleep and I felt so guilty like that middle of the day, like just holding him. Like I had the boppy and I
Mhm.
would just like keep him right there. But I was like, I just needed sleep. But guess who's my best sleeper now? My middle, who
Exactly.
slept on my lap every afternoon.
They'll grow out of it. And that doesn't mean that every baby that co-sleeps is going to be an amazing sleeper or
Right.
anything. It's every baby is different,
Right.
but it's really about I have some of my kids have really my boys loved being held and cuddled and now they're more cuddly. My daughter's like, "Thanks" from the time she was born. She's like, "Put me back in my bed. See you later."
I'm
And
good.
she's way more independent. And that's just kind of their personalities, but you can't feel guilty. You have to instead find ways to manage it. For people who are having their like second or subsequent child, baby carriers. You
What's your favorite carrier? Which one do you like?
Oh, that's such a good question. It kind of depends. So for the newborn times, I love a stretchy wrap.
Okay.
It might be like a Solly or like a
Yeah.
Moby, just a long stretchy wrap.
Yes.
Those are my favorite, but my clients hate learning how to use them. So it
I
takes a
know. I
lot of
remember
work.
YouTubing all the time, like, how do I do this thing?
Yeah. So most of the time every time I'm there, I'm showing both parents.
Mhm.
Like if there's two parents, I'm showing them both how to do it
Yeah.
because it's overwhelming. And then after that, I love a good ring sling. I
Okay.
still use my ring sling for my 3-year-old daughter, like going grocery
Wow.
shopping. She's teeny, but I still have a
Yes.
ring sling that I absolutely love.
We used our
And
carrier all the time.
which carrier?
We had I don't know if it's Ergo or Ergo,
Mhm.
the
Yeah, Ergo.
360.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one
That's a really
worked,
good
and it was a
one.
hand me down from someone else, and it worked out for my kids. So I'm like, perfect.
Yes, and that kind of depends on the baby.
Mhm.
If you have a really teeny baby, you're gonna have to either buy an insert or like make your own newborn
Yeah, I
insert.
don't think we could use it until they were
Couple months old.
it was a couple months, yeah.
Yeah, and
Once I could, I was like,
it's bulky. There's like a lot of snaps and things.
yeah,
So most of the time, a newborn,
just too
especially if you
much.
have a preemie or like a really teeny baby, all of that sensory input can be a little overwhelming.
Yeah. And I know
So,
it was in the summertime when my first
uh,
son was born in April. So by summertime when we like started using it, I'm like, it's so hot.
it's
It was
hot.
so hot for him. So we're like, yeah, we'll wait. But I used
Yeah.
that thing at every grocery store trip. I kept it in the car, like every walk we'd take. Yeah.
I love once babies are a little bit, so it's kind of like for me, it's a progression. And
Okay.
borrowing is the way to go. You do
Okay.
not have to. I have a set of wraps that I've loaned them out to neighbors, I've loaned them out to friends, and they're still really good. I take them to like client meetings to show people how to
Because
use
you're
them.
right. You'll use this one for a couple months and then you'll move
Mhm.
on to this one. Yeah.
But should you spend, some of them now, I don't want to hate on any brand, but some of them are like $400, $500, and they're
Well,
beautiful.
things have gone up and
Yeah,
things
I
have
mean, these
gone
are
up.
definitely like the
Top
higher
of the line.
end.
The organic,
Top of Yeah.
what was it? Like they have like bamboo now.
Yeah, and that's great. I'm not gonna hate on anybody buying that. Some people, they want that
It's
and
yeah,
that works for them.
go for it.
But it's also realizing if carriers are your things, most parents, it's a swaddle. But if carriers are your thing, you need 2 or 3 tops.
Yeah.
Do you need 20? No. It's not going to fix the problem of contact naps if you just buy more carriers. You don't need to find the right carrier. You need to maybe change something that's going on with your baby. Maybe they need to adjust wake windows. Maybe you need to change and have your baby outside more during the day. So we need to more troubleshoot the problem. And it's the same for sleep. Have realistic expectations about night sleep. Where are we putting your baby? A swaddle isn't going to make your baby a good sleeper. The same way a really high end, again, I'm not going to hate on snoo. It's a bed and my clients love it that have it. But is that going to fix the problem
Right.
of sleep?
So that came out right before my third. Well, we were first aware of it right before.
Yeah.
Do people, because like they can only use it, for like 6 months, right? Once they
Mhm.
rolling over, you have
It's
to.
like at best 6 months. Yeah.
Okay. Have you found that they have trouble transitioning to like a regular bed that doesn't rock them to sleep, or do they tend to do okay?
They tend
We
to
were
do
tempted. We were
okay.
tempted when we
You're
saw it. We're
tempted.
like, "Ooh, this does sound really nice."
Yeah, it's, most of the clients are putting it on, like, a weaning mode,
Oh,
and
oh.
when are we putting baby into, like, crib? Most of the time, we're moving baby to a crib at a couple of months before we're getting them out of
It's
a snoo or something,
okay.
and yeah, we're doing nighttime sleep in the room sharing. The AAP recommends a year. I don't really know, most of my clients are not doing a year unless it's, like, for space issues.
Mhm.
You don't have
Oh god,
anywhere
I couldn't
else
do
to
it a
put
year.
them.
Like, for us personally, like, every sound my kids make would wake me up, so they were out of our room
Early.
early. I couldn't
So,
sleep. I couldn't
so if you went and spent a lot of money on a snoo, you'd probably be just moving it into the
Right.
room. But really, it's the first few months that even a full size crib is huge for a newborn. So it's about figuring out how do we get them from being in your womb, which is so tight, so dark,
Mhm.
so like perfect for
Comforting.
them, yeah, into this huge open crib.
Mm.
And that doesn't happen at 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. New to the world.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing that we had on our registry was a stroller, and I will say ours is 9 years old now and still I mean, I hardly use it anymore with my 3-year-old, but it is still in very good working condition. So, that's one item that I'm like, if you find a stroller you like, get that one. Do you have a favorite stroller?
It depends. Also, because I had twins, I had a
Oh, so
different
you
kind of
needed a
stroller
double.
situation. Yeah.
Mm.
I think it really depends on like looking at it. And that's what I try to do with clients. It's like, what are you doing? So, are you a runner? Are you a hiker? Do you go out in nature a
Walking
lot?
around town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or are you just walking around the city? Are you just like needing it for a Target run? Are you
Mhm.
just going to like your local park? How often are you going to be using it? And are you planning on having more kids? So I would say
Oh, yes.
we're really pushed down the travel system funnel of like a travel system would be you have a car
Car
seat
seat.
and it clicks into a stroller,
Mhm.
um, which everyone just thinks they have to get a travel system. And for some people, it makes sense. And they can use that, like, I think of like a Kiko. You can usually use that for a long time. But is that really going to serve you long term? So if you are a runner, for instance, you might get something more like heavy duty.
Mm.
Like I'm thinking of like a Thule. I am not a runner. My kids also don't really like strollers. So if I had
Oh,
spent
no.
$1,000 on a stroller, I would have wasted that.
Oh my goodness. My stroller has gotten so many miles
Yeah.
only because I had to. Like, we're going to the park. We're going here. You need to be in that thing.
I have a wagon. I spent a lot of money on my wagon. I have a
Wagons
four-seater wagon.
nowadays are super cool where you push them like a stroller.
Mhm.
Seen those around. I'm like, if my kids were younger, I would definitely have thought
I
about
use my wagon all the time. My kids don't always sit in it.
that. Mhm.
Most of the time it's like we're going like this week we walked to like a bakery. We
Mhm.
were meeting somebody there. So I had like crayons and water bottles and snacks all in the wagon. And my kids were on scooters. And
Right.
then
But then
once
they
we're
always
in
get
there, they all
tired at
put
some point and they need
halfway through, I
it.
gotta throw the
Mhm.
scooter in and the helmet and throw a kid in there. So it's really about, because you asked, like, do I have a favorite stroller? I think it really depends on what you're doing. Personally, if I just had one kid and I was like one and done, I had a City Select.
That's what I
The
had.
Yeah, a little like,
But we had the doubles, like because we knew
oh, was it wide double or like
no,
stacking
it's the
double? Okay, stack.
stacker.
Mhm.
Because we knew when we had our first, we're like, we're probably gonna have another one. We didn't think we were gonna have 3. So we were like, okay, should we? And so we ended up getting the double, the stacker. It works great for one, but it
I
was
did
like
have the double stacker.
now we don't have to get another stroller when we have a second. And it came in very handy.
Yeah, and those are the questions that I ask people. Are you planning on having more? If so, let's not spend
Plan ahead. Yeah.
$500 on one stroller that
Mhm.
can't be converted to a double.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because how long are you actually going to use it? A couple years? And then maybe you can sell it, but it's not worth it. So let's look at like the long term of, how are you planning on using this? How long are you planning on using this? How many kids are you planning on putting in it? And can it be converted? So I loved the single one. I got it used, just because I never know if I'm gonna like something. So I'd rather not buy it new. But that's me.
Right. And there
So
is
I had the double City
there's
Select.
so many options for like very gently used items.
Totally. Total. And kids are gonna beat things up.
They do. Just this week, my son drew on our car seat,
Uh,
like
oh,
the car. Yeah. So, yeah,
good times with kids.
I know, right?
And
They're going to
and
destroy everything.
and I mean, we have to be realistic of, like, kids mess things up.
Hmm.
My kids painted all of their scooters this week. Why? I have no clue. They were just outside. I thought they were coloring and they're painting their scooters.
There you go.
They weren't
They were
my
quiet
scooters, so
for a
it's
while,
okay.
right? They were quiet.
Exactly. So that's where it's like we have to figure it out. For me, I love the City Select. I wouldn't take it like on nature walks. I don't know if
Right.
it
See,
would
I
be like
got
really
it
great
thinking
for that.
it was called the baby jogger. Wasn't
Oh,
that's how I think that's what it was called.
yeah.
And I thought, "Oh, I can jog with it." And it's not like I couldn't run, but
It's not a jogging
it's not a
stroller for
jogging stroller.
sure.
No.
Yeah,
But
for
it worked because
jogging,
I'm not a huge
you
jogging
weren't actually using
no.
it. Yeah,
Every
I
time I
would
would try,
say,
it hurt my back. So I was like,
yeah, a
"I'm just gonna walk."
Thule or something like that is definitely gonna be better, and that's where it's not about just finding maybe an influencer that you love and buying everything that they buy.
Mhm.
That's where we really need to kind of deprogram ourselves a little bit. Just because it worked for somebody else and this was their registry and it worked for them, it doesn't mean it's gonna work for me and my family and what we need.
Mhm. That's right.
So I give recommendations based on, what do you actually like? What do you need?
What's your
And
lifestyle like? Yeah, what's your family like?
totally. And we can reframe our whole registry like that. What's important to me? And having those conversations with family and friends of, advocating for my birth is really important to me. So instead of buying me baby socks and 20 baby outfits,
Yeah, and
even
all
though I'm
those
having a
bibs
baby,
and
yeah, I'm having a baby in July and we don't need any clothes.
right.
Um, Instead, can you just contribute to my birth doula?
I've never
Or,
even thought of that as an option or
yeah,
like lactation
why
class or yeah,
exactly. Why can you contribute to my lactation class?
or a
Can
house cleaner for the first like month.
Totally. I love that. A house cleaner, babysitting, date nights. On my second registry, I put a lot of, come watch my oldest
Oh, that's awesome.
so that we can get out before the twins arrive. That
Yes.
was my registry. Come watch my kids. And I still ask for that for holidays. For my birthday, I
Yeah.
had half of my family members come and watch my kids so that we could go, even it wasn't even like dinner. Sometimes it was just, we want to go to breakfast on a Saturday morning with no children around. And
Right.
that's my birthday present.
I was
That's
just
worth it to
thinking
me.
what it feels like to sit at a restaurant and not have to like entertain the entire time and we need the check. Let's go. Yes.
Yeah. Do I need my family to buy me things? No, I want,
I don't
still
need
at this point, and I've been like that. I would have my family, um, I would say, I'm going to give you a Albertsons gift card, a grocery store gift card. Can you go and buy the ingredients to make me a batch of breakfast burritos? I did that. And that for me was like game changer When I was going back and forth to the NICU every morning, I would get up at 4 a.m.,
Oh
go to
my
the NICU,
goodness. How
and
long were they
I
in the
had
NICU?
up 3 and 3.5 weeks. So
Okay.
it wasn't crazy long, but
That's a
when
long
you have
stretch.
it's long, yeah.
With another one at home.
When I have another one at home, COVID had just started, so my husband was not allowed in.
Oh,
And so it was just me doing
everything.
morning, then hang with my kid, go back in the evening. It was long.
That's a lot.
So
Mhm.
so having food, that was really what I needed. I needed somebody to listen to me, comfort me, understand that I was having a really terrible time and
Mhm.
give me some food and watch my kid. That was really
Yeah,
all I needed.
the basics.
No, and that's what I tell people in those early days when it's 2 a.m. and you are struggling with a baby that doesn't sleep. You're figuring out how to feed that baby. You're getting to know that baby. There's no perfect swaddle. There's no perfect bassinet that is going to fix the feeling of loneliness, the feeling of I'm a failure, the feeling of I don't know what I'm doing, and babies are really confusing.
Oh, yes.
So let's reframe that so that we have that village. And sometimes we need to pay for the village.
Mhm. Get that support. Now, when people come to you for baby registry advice, do they already have it made and you kind of like weed through it, or do they just start from scratch? Like, tell us everything we need.
It depends. So some of my clients already have the things they're like, I really want this. I really want this. I really want this. So it might not be a full fledged registry, but people usually have an idea of
Mhm.
maybe like have a nursery Pinterest page and they want to like get that done.
Got it.
And if people are starting from scratch, it might be earlier, maybe like they're right at the start of the second trimester. We're just getting into it. But if they're like a few weeks away from their baby shower, then they definitely know. They've been on,
Oh,
baby
we research a lot.
Instagram and TikTok and Pinterest. They have a few Pinterest boards. They
Mhm.
know what they want. And so it really is a matter of let's go through. Do you actually need four carriers? Or do
No.
you know somebody who just had a baby that can let you try this out?
Yes.
Personally, I feel like buying a brand new, and this is not like, I don't want to like put these companies out of business, but uh, paying for full price for like a wrap, unless you don't know anybody around you that has them, I feel like we only use it for a short period of time. If you do buy it new, pass it on to someone, donate
Mhm.
it, share it because we're using it for such a short period of time.
Yeah.
Baby
Weeks.
clothes. Yeah, baby clothes. People love buying baby clothes.
Mhm.
Does your brand new
The newborn
child?
stuff, they wear maybe once.
Yes. And
Yeah.
do they need a fancy bathing suit for a newborn? It's really cute.
It's cute. It's
I die looking at my clients' closets. Like, so cute. I love all these clothes, but do we need a gown for a baby? I don't know. It might
No,
be for
you're
one picture.
right. I had a summer baby and he wore a diaper for the first few
My
weeks.
oldest
It was
is
funny.
a June
It's too hot.
baby.
Yep.
Yeah, he didn't wear anything. Did
Mhm.
he need all the baby mittens and hats and socks? We didn't use any of that.
Nope.
And taking, because people want to give, people want to support.
Yes.
So, what are other ways that they can give and support? That
Yeah.
might be like
Yeah.
getting you a really nice sound machine, getting
That was
you
something I did not
blinds.
even know about with my first. What's your favorite sound machine?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, my kids share rooms, so I need like
Mhm.
good
Us
ones.
too.
I like the Hatch, but some people are anti-Hatch, which
Okay.
that's
That
okay.
one
I
keeps
like the
coming up
Hatch.
on my podcast. A lot of people are
Yeah,
talking about it, which was not
it's
around.
pricey. It's
Okay.
pricey. And then I also really like, I think it's called like yoga something. I'll send you a link for it.
Okay.
But I've had these for a really long time. I've had a lot of sound machines. And
Mm.
then there's a really good one. I think it's called Sound Medics, that it is a really teeny portable one.
Oh, that's
If
helpful
if you
on the
are on
go.
the go, if you're like taking your baby to someone's house, or maybe your
Mhm.
kids are going to have a little like pack and play at the grandparents' house or like a family
Yeah.
friend,
Yeah.
have a little tiny sound machine there. Or maybe for the living room. I am a
Yes.
big proponent of giving baby sleep signals from the earliest time we can reasonably do it. Once we're out
Mhm.
of like the fog of having a
Yeah.
baby,
Yeah.
can we put a dark room for naps? Can we put a sound machine? If sleep sack or swaddle is what you're doing, or like a pacifier, whatever you choose to do, let's
Mhm.
start giving those sleep signals.
Trigger them to sleep.
Just to get them to understand, hey, it's sleep time, it's
Yeah.
transition time. We don't need this whole long drawn out like bath, baby massage. I love baths, I love baby
Mhm.
massages, but we don't need to do that every single
Yeah.
day. And babies can't really stay awake every day to do a bath. Or what if you have a baby that hates bath time?
Right.
Or, they get cold every
Just don't
time
have
you change
time.
them. You don't have time. Yeah,
Yes.
they don't stay
That
awake very
sound
long.
machine has been a game changer for us. We still, because
Yeah.
my 3 boys share a room, and I still crank that thing up because 'cause I'm like, if one wakes
Mhm.
up in the middle of the night, I don't want the other ones, and they'll tell me, like, my little one's like, "You didn't turn it on," and I'm like, "Okay, you're gonna go off to college with the thing." But I
I
found
have
one that
multiple.
goes all night long because originally we had one that was like 30 minutes, 45 minutes,
Oh, yeah,
and
what
I was
kind?
like, "No, this one needs to go all through the night." Mhm.
Mine are on all night.
Yeah, all night long. And
I
now I,
set
like,
them.
noticed, I'm like, "Something's missing. Oh, I didn't turn the sound machine on." Yeah.
I have my oldest has his own room, but he usually ends up in, like, somebody else's room by the end of the night. He doesn't like he's the only one in his own room. So
Mhm.
he has a hatch in there because he likes the color, but a lot of babies, that's where I understand the, like, not loving hatch because, well, color can be distracting for babies. Not red, but other
Mhm.
colors, it wakes them up, and then they're distracted. They're not going back to sleep.
Wake baby in the middle of the night.
So dark, for the newborns and the little ones. So, and then I have 2 in my twins' room and I have 1 in my room. So, and there's sound machines everywhere.
And all of 'em. You're all sleeping really well.
We're all sleeping. I love sleep.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. I remember when I first made Registry, I had my friend look it over. Because at the time it was like probably Babies R Us or whatever store was out. And I remember she saw the high chair that I had registered for. It was like fancy and cushion. And she was like, take that off. You need one that has no cushions. You want it all plastic, easy to clean. So we got this like $15 IKEA one that we had for all 3 of my boys. So it was like,
Yeah,
it's
that
just
IKEA
helpful
one's
having
good.
someone who has kids look it over.
And do we need to have our like food stuff? I see people who put like bowls and stuff.
Not
Is that
yet.
something that we
That can
need
come
on our
later.
registry? I also think of the clutter aspect.
I was gonna say, it fills up a lot of
You fill
space, and
up.
we didn't
Yeah.
really use it till quite a long
And
time after.
bottles has that same kind of issue where people will buy you a
Mm.
multi-pack of bottles. Are you gonna use all those bottles?
Yeah.
Probably not,
Does your
and then
baby
you have a
like that
whole
one?
cabinet.
Mhm.
So, yes, does your baby like those? So you might have an entire cabinet of bottles, and they might not be great for your baby. What if your baby ends up having a tongue tie and they need a different type of bottle? So, buying ahead to, like, prevent things can cause you to just waste money or waste other people's money and waste space. And then the mental load of having to deal with getting rid of that.
Yeah,
It's a lot,
that's right.
and I feel the guilt of these are brand new baby bottles. I'm not just going to throw them away. Where
Mhm.
can I donate them that it's actually going to help somebody else?
Yeah.
So it's a lot. And when we think about, I have these swaddles, now I have to deal with them.
Mhm.
I'd like to prevent that. And instead, let's get you a nice postnatal Abhyanga massage or like a lymphatic drainage massage or some acupuncture. You get to decide, like, what do I want? But definitely don't ignore yourself on your registry. Put stuff to support you and your healing. And I think a lot of people, especially new moms, they're gonna wanna do that. They're gonna be like, "Yeah, that's such a good idea. I would love to love on you that way and get you care instead
Right.
of a new pack of baby bottles."
Yeah, because I never even thought to put that on my registry. That's such a great idea.
Because
Uh,
it's not on there, because it doesn't
right,
get it's not
right.
on the Amazon wish list. It should be.
It should be, yes. Oh, that's such a great idea. Well, if someone wants to find you and your website and your social media, where can we find you?
Yeah, I'm on, my website is asimplehome.org, and on Instagram, I'm a_simple_home,
Okay.
and I also have my own podcast, Ready for Baby. We talk about, birth, pregnancy, postpartum, all the good baby stuff.
All those tips. Perfect. Well, I'm going to put all of that in the show notes so they can find you. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing
Yeah.
all this with us. This
I had
was,
such a great conversation with you, Katie. Thank you
yes,
for having me.
oh, this baby world. I'm like out of it now. So it's hard to like, oh yeah, that's what
Baby stuff.
yeah, baby stuff. Cause we're on the like getting rid of everything. Like our third is 3 years old. We can
You're
start
done.
stuff out. Yep. The stroller and the crib. Those are going to be the hard ones to like, okay, we're going to get rid of
They
those one
hold so much. And I think rocking chairs, they
day.
hold like
Mhm.
so many good memories. I just got rid of my rocking chair and I thought, I spend so many hours cuddling my
Yes.
babies in there.
Yeah.
It holds so many good memories.
Precious moments. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to another Momversation. I love having you here. If you got anything from this podcast, I know I did. I definitely wish I had Gigi around when I was putting together my baby registry. But if you got anything from this podcast, I would love it if you liked and subscribed and left me a review. I want to hear from you all. So until next week's Momversation, remember that everyone burns their first pancake, so just keep flipping.